Hello, and welcome to another video from 3.5 Archive. Today, we're going to be doing our 71st D&D 3.5 Prestige Class review, and we're going to be looking at the Highland Stalker Prestige Class from the Complete Adventure Sourcebook. Highland Stalkers are adept at living at the highest altitudes, striding through the mountain terrain, jumping from boulder to boulder, tracking their prey through a variety of mountainous terrain, and surviving in a land that most would consider inhospitable. For all that, though, the Highland Stalker Prestige class is quite similar to the Scout and is based very heavily on the Scout class, as we'll see. So what do you need to become a Highland Stalker? Well, you're going to need 8 ranks in Listen, Spot, and Survival. You're going to need a base attack bonus of +5. You're going to need the track feat, and you're going to need to have either Skirmish or Sneak Attack as a class feature. Most likely the former, as that's going to be easier, but you could be a Ranger Rogue going into this Prestige class. Most likely, you're going to be coming in as a level 7 Scout. You're going to have your +5 base attack bonus, and you're going to have your skill ranks all squared away by then for sure. And Track is actually one of the feats suggested for a first level Scout to take, which does make a fair bit of sense as they are survival focused. They're kind of like a cross between Ranger and Rogue, so it's not a terrible first level feat to take, as tracking can be quite handy. So it's not very difficult to qualify for the Highland Stalker. There's a lot of different ways to do it. You can be a Ranger Rogue. You arguably could even be a Fighter Rogue. You can just come in as a Scout, a Fighter Scout, a Ranger Scout, whatever you want to be. Again, coming into this most quickly will be through Scout most often, although it will be technically a little bit faster to come in as a Ranger 5 Rogue 1, but you probably won't want to do that in most cases. Let's take a look at what you get from being a Highland Stalker. You get a D8 hit die, you get 4+ intelligence modifier skill points per level, you get a full base attack bonus, which is nice, and you're going to get a good fortitude save. And then at first level, you're going to get the Mountain Stride feature. This lets you move through scree and dense rubble at your normal speed, as well as going up steep slopes and stairs at your normal speed as well. This can be handy. Going up steep stairs will come in handy in a mountain environment where there's a lot of old ruins with stairs carved into the rocky cliffs and the like to get to them. But generally speaking, this is going to be a little bit different than the Scout's version of this ability, where they're going to be getting the ability to navigate, undergrowth, rubble, and similar terrain, but it doesn't give them the benefit of moving up stairs like that, their flawless stride feature. So this is a little bit of an improvement on the Scout in that regard, but as we'll see, it gets a little bit samey from here. So at second level, you're going to get Skirmish plus 1d6. This works just like the Scout feature. If you move 10 or more feet in a round, then you're going to do an extra 1d6 points of damage on all your attacks. It's only going to apply to attacks taken during your turn, and it's going to improve as you go on. At level 3, you're going to get Swift Tracker, which is not something that you would have gotten as a Scout, but considering that you had to take the track feat to get into this prestige class, it makes sense that you're going to get some kind of benefit to tracking. And it works just like the Ranger feature. At level 4, you're going to get Skirmish of 1d6 and +1 AC, which of course is just going to be the same thing as before, but you get now a +1 bonus to armor class when you move at least 10 feet in a round. At level 5, you're going to get Sure-Footed, and this is going to allow you to ignore DC modifiers for balance, move silently, and tumble checks from scree, light rubble, dense rubble, steep slopes, or stairs. And now you don't have to make a DC 10 balance check when running or charging down a steep slope. The amount of times that comes up in most D&D games is going to be maybe once or twice per campaign, if the Dungeon Master even remembers that rule. But if you are, again, in a mountainous setting, which is where you'd want to play this character, then it's going to be very handy. It's going to help you not fall down. It's going to help you sneak up on your prey. So if you did come into this as a rogue, it'll help you out. It's not an amazing feature, but then again, these sorts of features that the Scout gets, while they're handy, they rely on the Dungeon Master actually putting in some difficult terrain to make use of them. So they are situational. And even then, they're just mitigating, terrain hazards. They're not really giving you anything additional when you use them. So they're reactive, they're situational, and as a result, they're never going to be excellent features, but they do fit the theme of this prestige class. At level 6, you're going to get plus 2d6 to your Skirmish, still plus 1 AC, not much to talk about there, just a further improvement to it. And then at level 7, you're going to get the Camouflage ability. This lets you use the hide skill in any sort of natural terrain. And this is a feature that the Ranger will be getting at 13th level, so you're going to be getting it a little bit later, assuming that you came into this as a 7th level Scout, or you'll be getting it right on time if you came in as a Ranger 5 Rogue 1. And again, being able to do this is nice, but this is going to be the last unique feature that you get from this Prestige class. After that, at level 8, you're going to gain Skirmish plus 2d6 and plus 2 AC, and then finally at level 10, you get Skirmish plus 3d6 and plus 2 AC. So an interesting thing about this Prestige class, if you come into this as a 7th level Scout and you take all 10 levels, you're going to go from Skirmish plus 2d6 and plus 2 AC, you can add 3d6 and plus 2 AC to that, and you're going to get a Skirmish of 5d6 and plus 4 AC, which is exactly what you would have gotten if you had continued to take Scout levels. However, in addition to that, you also would have gotten Blind Sense of 30 feet, improvements to your battle fortitude, a bonus feat, additional fast movement, the ability to hide in plain sight, and so on. And then if you take Highland Stalker, you're going to get the ability to not trip while you're running down the stairs. It seems like a little bit of a crude way to put it, but the Highland Stalker really does not offer enough to justify giving up those Scout levels. And that's not even considering what you'd be giving up if you came into this as a Ranger/Rogue. That's a little bit more complicated, and maybe, favorite enemy is a little bit more niche, but it's still going to be better than this feature. I mean, this barely comes up hardly at all, even in a mountainous, game. You're not going to get that much mileage out of these features in order to justify giving up all these other abilities that you'd be getting from Scout. It's very unfortunate because this is a cool concept, a terrain-focused subset of the Scout class that's centered around specific terrain, and it does give it abilities that are related both to the Scout class and its ability to move over difficult terrain, as well as mountainous terrain itself. It specifies, the scree and dense rubble and the stairs and steep slopes and the like. So it's a cool concept, but unfortunately, it really doesn't offer you enough to make up for missing out on those Scout levels. And again, other classes, even worse. Ranger, Rogue, even Fighter, giving you bonus feats every level. All of that's going to pale in comparison. The best that can be said about this Prestige class is that it does advance your Skirmish, and it does keep up fairly well there. So overall, we would have to give the Highland Stalker 4 stars for concept, but only 1 star for execution, maybe 1.5 stars. There could be some use for this, maybe taking at the very least the first level of it, if you really want the ability to, run upstairs quickly. But really, you're not going to want to take levels in this unless you aren't going to miss the Blind Sense and you aren't going to miss the benefits to your fortitude and initiative, or you're constantly running down slopes right by the edges of cliffs that you're worried you're going to fall off of. There's just no good reason to take levels in this Prestige class, unfortunately. How would I improve the Highland Stalker? Well, I would look at mountainous terrain, and I would say that you would get bonuses maybe to foraging in it. Not that foraging is a hugely important part of D&D 3.5. Moreover, I would give some kind of favored terrain bonus. That's a often panned ability, especially among the Pathfinder Ranger. It's usually made fun of as just a terribly situational ability. But look, if your character is going to be focused on adventuring in mountainous terrain, you should at least get some kind of bonus on your skills, on your initiative, on your attack rolls even, while you are in that type of terrain. Would it still be bad? Yes, it would, but this would be alongside Skirmish progression, so you could at least make a little bit more of an argument for having it. Likewise, some kind of ability that gives you extra damage when you maybe leap from, a slope down onto an enemy, some kind of plunging shot, or, charging downhill sort of strike for some extra damage, like the powerful charge feat from the Miniatures Handbook, would be a nice addition. As is, this is a Prestige class that continues your Scout progression in the weakest possible way, although, to be fair, an important way, but it also doesn't give you any real interesting features that aren't just slight expansions to the abilities Scout already has, as well as Swift Tracker, which is nice, but it's not going to make the difference in most campaigns. Swift Tracker is really just there as a footnote in many cases. So that'll be about it for this D&D 3.5 Prestige class review. The Highland Stalker is definitely worth workshopping as a concept, but it just fails to deliver as a Prestige class in its current form. That'll be about it for this Prestige class review. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and so on. And I will see you next time here on 3.5 Archive.